In his first major TV interview since he became the FBI director in 2013, James Comey said this.
Ultimately, an American citizen, unless their passport's revoked, is entitled to come back. So someone who's fought with ISIL with an American passport wants to come back, we will track them very carefully.
You know, it didn't make sense to me, so I asked him to clarify. Take a look.
It's good to have you back in New York, Mr. Director. You recently talked about lone wolves, preferring to call them lone rats. And you said that unless their passport is revoked as citizens, they're entitled to come back into the country and live here, but that you would monitor them. There are three things that come to mind. Number one, treason, and I know it's very difficult to prove. Number two, seditious conspiracy, which is a little easier, and apparently we've charged some of the guys working with Al-Qaeda with that. In terms of revoking their passports, why is there not legislation that we can get passed to do that? And finally, how many FBI agents does it take to track someone 24/7? You say there are 12 of them, although there could be more. And what burden is that creating for you?
Yeah, thanks, Jeanine. It's good to see you too. I think I either garbled it or the way it came across. I think that was a 60 Minutes interview.
Right.
Folks misunderstood what I said. Someone with a valid U.S. passport can return to the United States. What I meant to say is we track them very carefully if they're coming back to the United States. If I have evidence that you have fought with any of these foreign terrorist organizations, you will be locked up. We will track you till you land here, then we will lock you up. As you said, there's a variety of, frankly, much easier statutes to use to lock somebody up, if I can prove it. A material support to a terrorist organization is one. So that's fairly easy. I didn't mean, and I was surprised people thought I meant this, that we will simply follow bad people around the country on whom we have sufficient evidence to prosecute for fighting with ISIL. No. So that's, put that one to rest. It is, so I guess I don't need to answer the rest of it.
Right, it's all good.
Yeah, and folks just misunderstood what I meant. When someone said to me, I said, people really think I'm an idiot? Right? Oh, we're just going to follow all these people around the country. No. If I have evidence to prosecute you for fighting with a terrorist group, and you have a valid passport, when you land at JFK, you will be at the MCC before the sun goes down.
And there's no question that people do not think that Jim Comey is an idiot. With me now is Chief Counsel at the American Center for Law and Justice and author of the New York Times bestseller, The Rise of ISIS, Jay Sekulow. All right, Jay, what's your reaction to what the FBI director had said initially and then his answer to me this past week?
Well, I know Jim Comey, and he's a good guy, and I think he just made an incorrect statement out of the gate, and I'm glad he corrected it with you. But here's another question. Are we really going to let someone that took up arms with ISIL on an airplane bound for the United States? I mean, let's think about that for a moment. As soon as they land at JFK, we're going to arrest them. Why are we letting them get on an aircraft, a civilian aircraft, unarmed civilian aircraft, going to the United States? That brings up a question. And this is where I think we've got to clarify very clearly that when you're dealing with groups like ISIS, this is not Al-Qaeda. They're not hiding in the caves. These are militants. These are military. Not that, obviously, Al-Qaeda's militant, but they were hiding in caves. ISIS is an army. So the idea that we're going to let these guys get on an airplane and then arrest them when they arrive in New York or Washington or Chicago, to me, that misses the point.
All right,
so
Jay,
I have a lot of respect for the FBI director, a tremendous amount of respect.
Look,
but
I know Jim
hope that's
Comey,
not our policy of letting these guys
and I worked with him as well. He's an extremely bright guy. But the question is this, Jay. If the administration has as its policy, we're going to bring these guys back and we're going to try them. I mean, you are of a different mindset. What do you think should happen before they get on the plane to come back to the United States? Are you saying we should kill them over there? Are you saying that we ought to just redirect it to Gitmo?
You know, certainly. Look, I want to get as much information out of these guys as we can. But I think we have cooperative agreements, whether it's with the British, whether it's with the French, the Germans. I can go through the list. Certainly the Israelis as well. We have the intelligence capability to stop these guys before they get on civilian aircraft if we have the information that they are in fact taking up arms with ISIS.
Jay,
and I just, to me, it's inconceivable that we're not doing that now.
Jay, you're not answering my question. My question is this. Before they get on that plane, what should happen to them?
Number one, citizenship should have been stripped. I think if they're taking up arms with ISIS, we should take them out in the field if we have the capability militarily of doing that. The president's still hesitant.
Are you saying
so
kill
I think
them?
militarily, look, these are not criminal. This is the problem. Judge, they try these as criminal cases. This is war. It's not a, we're not, you've done the criminal cases, I've done them too. This isn't indict them and try them and we get a conviction. If they're taking up arms with the enemy, they are the enemy and they should be treated as the enemy clearly, unequivocally, and that is you eliminate the threat as soon as you can.
All right, Jay. If this administration believes they need to come back and tried, all right, then this administration is not going to take them out on the battlefield. In fact, they're letting them out of Gitmo left and right. I mean, and they're going back, some of them, it's like replenishing the enemy in a time of war. They're going back to the battlefield. So your take is that, given the intelligence that we have, is that they should either be taken out on, somewhere else, or what, brought to Gitmo?
Yeah, I think that's why we have Gitmo. And the idea, I know the president, as you said in your opening, he wants to close it immediately, but the fact of the matter is, there's a reason we have Gitmo. It's been the idea, though, that the president's basically vacating Gitmo and sending these guys back out. We forget, there's one thing they have clearly, patience. And the idea that they've been in jail for 6 or 7 years and somehow all of a sudden they're going to get out, see the light, and not take up their activities, if we're that naive, and I think the administration is, that is very, very dangerous for the national security of the United States and, frankly, our allies, especially with a group like ISIS, who is so organized, so very, very thorough in how they're approaching this. We have got to be much more on our game. And the president, look, this is going against his narrative, Judge. This is against the president's narrative, and that's why he's been so hesitant to engage this as a war and still reluctant. I know he's increasing some of the boots, but not enough, I'm afraid.
Jay Sekulow, always good to have you on. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Judge.
Coming up, I go one-on-one.